Okay, so I want to switch gears. You had a few different career changes, and you've built your brand. And this last year, like I love, like I said, I think I texted you that before. Seeing you build your brand and kind of reinvent yourself. I'm loving all the process around it. Like, just as a marketer, I totally 100% like get geeked out about stuff like that. And I think you're doing a really, really good job as creating yourself as the expert in the field and like the business coach guy to go to. So can you talk about how hard it was to reinvent yourself, or was it easy? I don't know. And what your practical steps were to do so? Like, what was the thought behind it? Were you specifically like, okay, here's what I want to do? Like, how did you?
Yeah, I know it was very intentional. So like, when I was a full-time real estate agent, that's a personal brand into itself. Mm-hmm. So I was doing all this type of stuff, although the mediums were a little different, 6 or 8 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But I was focused on online marketing and digital marketing and putting myself out there. And then I pivoted into owning a business and being the brokerage owner and having all the real estate agents work under me. So that brand kind of disappeared. I pivoted into showing the company side of things a little bit with vlogging and stuff, but I really wasn't now promoting me as my own brand. And that ran, like, we did that for 4 years, and the decision to sell that company and pivot again, it was like, okay, where am I going now? And so I had to do the same principles, which was totally different now. Instead of trying to attract people that wanted to buy or sell a house, I'm looking to attract entrepreneurs and real estate agents that want to improve their business. So it's the same steps, same process, which I've used before. Pull it out of the, dust off the binder. But it was like, okay, let's start with our avatar, which it's like, who's our ideal client? When I was a real estate agent, it was like the Joneses, it's a nuclear family with a golden retriever. They've got their smaller home and they're ready to move up to their bigger one. And that was my like ideal client. Now it's like, oh, it's this real estate agent who's had some success or looking to grow. I'm really looking, that's who I serve, is people that want to, kind of get to the next level.
Yeah.
And so once you've got that avatar figured out, it's like, okay, well, we got to go meet them where they're at. Like, what challenges are they facing? What are they interested in? And that's the really intentional part. When I'm not being as intentional, I'm just posting whatever's making me happy, which is how most of us use social media every day.
Yeah.
But the intentional part is like, okay, what does the person who would be my ideal customer, what do they need today? What kind of content would be useful for them? And of course, overlap that, with what you're interested in. And then I really had to make the pivot in today's medium to going to like the super short form content. I'm not we're almost at a half an hour here. I'm not a short form guy. I love to make long form talks. It takes me nothing to talk for an hour on a topic. So to get stuff down to like 90, 60, 30 seconds is where I had to change my skill set. And I was able to work with some younger, like my videographer's 25, right? So it's very helpful to like not feel old again and like get back in. I was like, I'm not the TikTok generation, but I didn't really get it at first. Like, I wasn't going to be dancing or like doing lip syncs, and we were able to find our own kind of vibe in the same kind of environment where we're just sit and talk and pull all the quality clips out. But again, this very process based. Like I do it all in batch. Make sure that we're got it all in a spreadsheet. I have a posting schedule.
Okay.
Oh yeah. We have a posting schedule. I'm keeping an eye on what does well, what doesn't do well. We're coming back up and like reposting it later. Like, it's all very technical in the background. But I find it actually easier. Back to the freedom side of things. Like, I would, this is a side story, but like even my mom would know if I'm not like feeling well, because I would like slow down my posting, right? And she's like my number one fan on Instagram. So I'd get a call like, Jeff, you doing okay? Like, I haven't seen you post anything in a week, right? But now, because I'm filming like once a month or twice a month, and there's like a catalog. Like I think I'm good till the end of April right now in terms of backlogged videos to post. It doesn't really matter. I just get up. What does it say to post from the drive today?
Yeah, exactly.
Post it, write the caption, check your inboxes, and then get back to work. Yeah. So it's actually a much smaller part of my day, like how much time I spend on these apps, than it used to be. But I'm getting so much more in terms of results.
Yeah, exactly. I love the long form content, because I will watch, but there is something nice about just those quick, like, I could do that today. But I'm like you, I like the long form. Like I will put on the half an hour YouTube video and listen, or like, and I always say to people, like, I love both because both is good. Like I'm trying to use my small clips to lead people to the podcast, for instance. But when it comes to like meat, I'm like, people still will do it if you have good content. And that's what you have. You have like really good, solid content that's like easy to take, digest, and actually put into your day-to-day and build your business.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and I do a lot of live presentations too, and that was one of the things that was like, oh, why don't we just film these? Like I'm putting all this work into these presentations anyways to a group of like 10 to 12 people, and instead let's bring the video team. Now there's effort in that too, but if we film them now, and it was like this aha that I should be building a library, like almost like an author, like not just keep redoing these things over and over again. So like even this presentation that's coming up Thursday, my wife's coming with me. She's going to be in the front row with the iPhone, just
100%.
Capturing the whole experience, and so that even someone who might want to book me to give that talk might want to preview it kind of and see it. So I think there's value across all of it, and that's where probably you help people is try to figure out where should I put my effort. There's all these options, like from long form and different mediums and writing blog posts and putting content out here and running ads. It's like, okay, but I have limited time and budget to get this all done. So it's tough to try to figure out exactly where to put your effort and energy, but I don't know. I'm lucky. I like to still play a lot. Like I'm still interested in all this stuff too.
Yeah, I know that is a game changer too for people, because some people just hate that, and some people are good on camera, some people aren't. So they might be better writing. So the long form blog or whatever could work. I do the same thing. Like anytime I speak anywhere, I'm recording it, and then once in a while it's released as a podcast. Or I'll be like, hey, flashback to 5 years ago when I spoke on stage for the first time, and then it's whatever I'm saying. Nice. It's just because you never know when you're going to need that content. And now with Reels or TikTok, it's nice to have that B-roll. Totally. Which I'm like, at first I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't have, I wish I had a picture of me like taking a picture, I wish. And now I'm like, no, this is all B-roll. Don't delete it just because you used it once. Save it in the Dropbox. Okay, so that's like the video portion and building your brands on social. Is there anything else you did that's like, okay, here, I'm not an owner anymore, I'm moving to the coaching industry?
There's definitely a mindset shift, I think. Like, I'm very big on like mindfulness and, really, pointing myself in the right direction, not just like letting life happen to me. So I think, any of those times, where I had to go, okay, I'm going to be a single agent. No, I'm going to be a team leader, or I want to own a brokerage. I want to be a business coach for this company. I want to become an investor. I want to be a coach and a speaker again. Yeah. It's like my intention for that is always, if you looked in my journal, it's way in front of the results. Okay. Yeah. And so I think it's about, that's that working on the business sort of thing too, where, if you're just watching, you might think, oh, that's what Jeff's up to. But it's like, I'm trying really hard, right? Like, it maybe doesn't come across that way, but the idea is, really getting yourself focused on what you want. And then a great mentor of mine, and I use this coaching loop all the time, is like, if somebody has a dream and it's like, okay, well, why aren't you already there, right? Like, what's standing in your way? And then like, what if we just started pretending to be that person today, instead of like, I think a lot of people want to feel the results come and then you feel like that person. Mm-hmm. Instead, if you just like, okay, if Jeff was getting invited to speak on stages again and had a full booking of coaching clients, what would he be doing every day? Let's just start doing that today and let the business show up. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I've seen that work time and time again for myself. I think it just gets you in the motion. And then, especially with these mediums, like people have I found about a 6-month window. Like if you start doing something about 6 months from now, the people who are watching will think you've always done it. Yeah. Yeah. And so it takes, at first you don't feel any traction. Then it's like, people just assume you've been doing this your whole life. It's not, I felt it when I opened my company. I felt it when I closed my company too. It took like 6 months for people to know that it was kind of over, right? Yeah. And so I'm at about like, I think I started posting really heavily, like daily, with all this new style content in December. And so it's like 3 months in, you can start to feel the traction picking up. And I'm sure in another 3 months, it'll be just like,
Yeah, for sure. I think the same thing. Like, we are always wanting immediate results. Like, okay, I'm shifting, and we've already had been maybe privately thinking about the shift, which no one knows. And then when we do it, we want the phone to ring, but it's you still have to define yourself.
Yeah.
So I find that very much. But that's why it's so important that we define our own brands, because if we don't, somebody else will.
Sure.
So for an example, I was speaking at, I don't know if it was like Enterprise Brand or BRC, like some local governmental agency, and they used to have a program like 3 years ago that would give financial help to entrepreneurs. So I was like, they're like, no, that's our old one. No one knows about that anymore. I'm like, no, I hear it. I'm like, people think you do this. They're like, no. So I was like, okay, watch this. So I went to like What's Happening Brantford, or like one of those groups. I'm like, hey, I'm a new entrepreneur. How do I get a loan for my business? And so many people were pointing, and it was just wrong information. People were pointing us to Woodstock and all these other things. They were saying, oh, this company does that. And then as they read the comments, they were like, oh my gosh. I'm like, no. You need to define your brand, because these 20 people just did it for you, and
right.
like 17 of them were wrong. And it was such a funny exercise, and it took about a week, and it was really interesting. So that was something that happened early on, and I took that even for myself. I'm like, okay, I need to define my brand. I need to tell people what I'm about and who I want to work with and who my avatar, or like my perfect customer would be, as opposed to people being like, oh yeah, no, she does social, but she doesn't do video. Or worse is when my clients would be like, oh yeah, I got so-and-so to do a website. I'm like, but I do websites. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. I thought you just did social media. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dropping the ball somehow. Okay, how do I define this? So it's kind of interesting. It's along the same lines.
Yeah, and I think in today's world too, like having whether it's in your social profiles or having a nice clean website, almost like your resume. Like I had that similar experience recently where I had someone, and I always love when this happens, you get an inbound lead, right? And someone's like, hey, I didn't know if you even offered coaching services. I'm like, are you kidding? That's all I'm trying to do right now. And like that night I went home and totally rewrote the front page of my website, because I'm like, it's buried somewhere.
Yeah. And
because like the same with your story about the city, like inside the bubble, I get it. That's what I'm doing. But we realized like the research or the reading path, people are checking you out more than ever before they make the outreach. So making sure that rabbit hole they're going down and reading and their own little research and clicking through web pages, they're getting the story exactly as you'd want them to read it.
Yeah, that's so important. And I find that too, because sometimes we're so deep into our own company and we know so like well what we do, is when we put it out there, they just want like the overview, quick, easy, hey, I remember, and we want to give them like this research, the history, here's everything we do. And that does sometimes blow up in our face, because they'll read it all and be like, oh, I didn't know. I'd be like, but you said you went on my website. Okay, let me look at my website with fresh eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. I don't have anything about websites on my website, ironically.
Totally.
So yeah, it's funny to see that with, and that's why I also like coaching, because I know what I'm doing. I know what my goals are, but my coach sometimes is like, no, that doesn't match. That's not, why are you chasing that? That's not your avatar. That's not who you're going for. And I'm like, I don't know, just because it was there. So
and keeping it up too, right? Like I find a joke with a lot of real estate agents I see, like they write their bio, their like little 1 paragraph bio, usually the first year they're in the business.
Yeah. And
so when your first year in the business, it has nothing to do with real estate. It talks about where you went to high school, what your previous career was, and then they stick with it. Yeah. Even though they've got 20 years of success, it still says like, so-and-so comes from a background of this and that. And I'm like, but what about 20 years of success and satisfied customers? So, having to keep reinventing it too. Like even, I just got a whole new box of business cards to take to conferences with me that are different, right? Because it's like these people are seeing me on stage. And so assuming I'm going to be networking and wanting to hand out, it has to have the information for that avatar.
Yeah, exactly.
It's different than, if I'm going to talk to somebody about their housing needs. So, really thinking through that. And I think that's, what a good marketing team does well is that consumer empathy, like being able to get out of your shoes, go stand in your avatar's shoes and be like, what would this person want to see, want to read, want to hear, and give it just in a bite-sized package, not make it too complicated.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem. Like we write these things, even on my website, like I read it the other day, I'm like, the about me was my first year in business.
There you go.
Well, now I should say like, whatever, I don't know. I'll have to figure that out.
Like about the last year in business, how great it's been and what you're up to now.
So I was like, I have to rewrite that. So that is something on my to-do list, because I'm like, I just kind of wrote it and you forget about it and you don't think about it until I was like, okay, I need to critically look at my website again, because now it's like 3 or 4 years old or whatever. I find that even with headshots,
Yep.
with everything. It's like people invest in good photography just once in a blue moon. I'm not saying all the time because I'm a huge proponent of buy the good iPhone and you'll be laughing. But it's like, be up to date. Your cards have to be up to date. People need to know what, if you shifted, even pivoted a small bit, people need to know what that is, or else you're going to lose those customers.
Well, and I think the requirement for it, society and like marketing over the last, especially 10 years, has sped up that process too. Like, because we're all so used to putting out so much stuff, like, multiple times a year, maybe is even, for different brands to be updating certain assets and creative. Like, it used to be, buy your one billboard for the year and you're done. But so much of the media we're consuming now, like an Instagram reel or a TikTok, it's dead in like 36, 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but you've got this print medium where you see someone running the same flyer for like 2 years straight.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh,
Yeah.
maybe it's working, but maybe a little bit of a twist or a refresh could really go a long way without, without breaking the bank, but just just to give it some new life. Cause I think the consumers expect something to catch their eye now, not just be repetitive.
That's the other thing about traditional versus digital media. I think because we're always constantly putting out stuff online, like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, there's so much that we have to stay current. Whereas when you're like, okay, I have the billboard, I have the bench, it's so easy to just be like, oh, you need another check. Okay, here you go. Oh, just like, oh yeah, renew subscription. And you don't actually look at it critically anymore.
Right.
So I had a friend and he had this I'm like, oh, I saw your face on the billboard. Or it was a bench near kind of like the north end. And he's like, oh yeah. I'm like, you look a little young though. And he's like, yeah. And he ended up switching it. I drove by the other day. I'm like, there you go.
Nice.
I'm like, it's like 20 years out of date.
Yeah, you wouldn't even get recognized. Right?
I know, it's funny. But it's easy because it's just so easy to just be like renew, and go on autopilot. But that's why I think people should be setting aside, and including myself, like set aside time to look at my marketing and be like, okay, is this what I want to put out still? Like, is this the vibe I'm going for? Like, no, I'm actually shifting from small business to like a little bit bigger business. So here's the new lingo I'm going to start using or whatever.
Yeah, maybe you want a picture of the whole team now.
Exactly.
And like, always projecting to that next level where you're going. And, especially if you've gotten there. And now, I probably need to start adding more like testimonials and case studies and proof of success because I've got such a long history working with people. But if you went to my site, that maybe doesn't show off, right?
Yeah.
I don't have as much of that track record built and things like that. So I think everybody has an opportunity to constantly look at, their own, you were talking big on personal brand, whether it's a company brand or it's you as the persona, which I think you should still have both, even if you do own the company.
100%.
Both of those things, they're constantly evolving because we're constantly evolving as humans.
Yeah, I agree. And plus, I always say to people, especially realtors, I'm like, you don't know where you will be in 10 years. So maybe you don't want to brand so hard with your brokerage because in 10 years, if you do want to make a clean break, if you want to like change directions in job, become a coach, if you're just moving to another brokerage or city, you don't want to have to do that breakup. You want to be able to like stand kind of on your own 2 feet. And that's what I think is really important. And that's for any job. So even for me, like, do I want to move on from this? One day, can I picture myself selling Purple Bean? Yeah. So I'm like, do I want it to be all about me? Or eventually you're going to see the shift from me being on screen all the time to something else because I'm going to need to make that cut basically. So we just don't know what the next few years are holding. So I sometimes cringe when people become the face of a company that's not their company, especially. So, and I've worked with that a lot, not just in realtors, like literally any other business. When the owner's too shy to get on camera, they're like, just use so-and-so. I'm like, I can, but if so-and-so leaves, we're going to have to do we're going to have to take a lot of cleanup. So I don't know what legal work you want to do with that. You still own that.
Totally.
But yeah, so, okay. Any other tips on how to just create your own brand really strong that you can think of? Doesn't have to be tied into marketing necessarily.
No, I mean, I've seen the huge benefit and it's only growing year over year over year. But I mean, I was making YouTube videos in 2009 when it was like so hard to like film it and get the memory card and edit it and everything. And now, these companies are begging us. They're putting these tools in our pocket. And I think a lot of people are getting caught up with, having to go viral or become famous, but it's not really it. It's like, your 100 friends and family they're watching.
Yeah.
And or maybe your 200 people in your network. So you don't have to really worry about, did you get 10,000 views on this, or did you get 1,000 new followers? It's like the idea that if you're creating stuff and you can constantly be thinking about these platforms as the business person and not just the consumer, you can still go there and be the consumer and like scroll when you're bored, but like really look at the advantage, even just you doing this podcast and we're just having a conversation, you're recording it. It's probably going to have some benefit to you, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't have to do this today. And so I think, if my biggest thing I try to show people is that the effect that these tools have had on my career, and it's only gotten more and more every year. The attention's shifted more towards them. The ease of use has increased. The fun side of it has increased. It feels like it's harder for the average person because you're like, oh, everybody's got thousands of fans, and you don't need it. Like, go look at my feed. Some of the videos, I don't take them down. If they have 20 views, it doesn't matter. Just keep moving. Because you never know what's going to work or what somebody's going to scroll back and like, or that one piece of content that's going to get them to phone you. I think it's going to be the big game changer for the next 10 years moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I always say to everyone too. I'm like, I don't need to go viral because my business is coming from that. And if I was in a room and 200 people were listening to me, I'd feel pretty special. So what's the difference when it's online or not? Because I'm comparing myself to Gary Vee or like Grant Cardone or something like that. And I think that's the problem. We compare ourselves to these huge monsters and we're just regular people from Brantford.
Right.
So I'm like, just be really content with that 100 or 200 or hey, maybe you get 5,000 or whatever. But the phone will ring. So the numbers don't matter. It's the calls that matter. Because we can do like weird things, like we can dance and stuff like that. That doesn't necessarily help our business. We could go viral. We just have to be extreme. But I want to stay within my brand and I want the phone to ring for what I need it to ring for. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying to everyone. Like, trust me, it works for me. It works for my clients. I know it works. You just have to be patient.
Yeah, if you got a small business, you have small expectations too. We're not Nike or like you said, Gary Vee or whatever. And it isn't that hard. Like I'm actually doing a talk next Wednesday down in London about the whole like history of video on social. And like my goal is like if you would just get on there and just play. Like if you've gone from nothing, just open the Instagram app. You can delete the reel. You don't even have to post it, but just play and just see how easy it is. Like it was so hard 10 years ago to make a video. And now the editing tools and the music and actual copyrighted music, you can use it. It's like, it's so easy. The filters
it's so cheap
and everything.
Nowadays. Like before it's like you had to hire this big crew with the lighting and the sound and the cameras. And now it's just like you have your camera, you're like, hey guys.
And that stuff performs even better because it's authentic and it's real and that's what people want to see. So if you're willing to just talk and communicate and post things that you're excited about, still 95% of people don't post and don't create anything. So you, even though it feels like it's saturated, you'll still be standing out if you just decide to like make some content, make some posts, show off what you like, and
you
talk
will
to
get better.
Totally.
If I go back to my first one, I would be just horrified, and I know it. So I remember shaking. I remember like writing a script. And that's what I say to everyone. I'm like, your first few are going to be horrible, so just don't expect anything good right out of the gate. And then, you know what? In 20 or 30 videos, you're going to be really good.
For sure.
It's one of those things you have to put in the reps.
Like everything, right? You got to start as a beginner. There's no shortcut.
Yeah. So that's awesome. All right. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming out. And I want to tell everyone how to get in contact with you. I'll put it on the bottom of the screen. But
yeah, just type my name into any platform or Google, and you'll track me down on your favorite platform.
Okay, sweet. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Cheers.